Hello and welcome to Arsenal Fan TV. This is the review of Arsenal beating Liverpool by 4-1 at the Emirates Stadium in the Barclays Premier League. 12:45 kickoff this Saturday, and what a great game it was. Not really a result that I envisaged going into the fixture. I expected a lot more from Liverpool. I have to say in this game, I know that they've had their frailties. Steven Gerrard and Martin Skirtle were missing the game through suspension, but considering that they'd gone 6 games or something away from home without conceding a goal, to be turned over 4-1, it's a great result for us, but from a Liverpool perspective, it really does look like they're going to be not getting Champions League football this season. It leaves them 9 points adrift of us, and they've really got a battle on their hands to get Champions League football. But for us, it's a great result. We remain 9 points ahead of Liverpool. We're securing our place in the top 4 this season, it would seem. Of course, there's still work to be done, but it really does start to cement our place in a top 4 finish. We move up to second. Of course, Manchester City have a game in hand over us, which they're playing against Crystal Palace on Monday. So they could drop points, and I'm not thinking about the title race just yet. Let me really... I think that's a real thing that's, after today, it's really been talked about with the pundits on BT Sport. They kept going on about how Arsenal are potentially moving into the title race. I don't want to think about the title just yet. I just want to look at the teams that we've got in front of us. We've got Burnley away next. It's a very difficult run into the season. That, you know, we've got any team. It does look easier on paper compared to the teams around us, but I like to think that every team's going to be fighting for points, survival at this point in the season. We've just got to beat every team that comes our way. If we're able to beat Chelsea at home, then I think we can start talking about that kind of stuff, but not now. We've just got to beat anyone that's in front of us, focus on the game we've got at Wembley against Reading in the FA Cup, and just see where we come at the end of the season. But this is a very big victory for us. Let me emphasise that. I never expected a result like this. I thought it'd be much closely contested, which it was in that first half. It was a very seesaw half, not from Arsenal but from Liverpool as well. Both teams having their fair share of chances, and it was actually a really good Arsenal 11 that I think we started today. The one thing that I did say in the preview for this was if we were going to play Ozil, Cazorla and Ramsey in the same team, then we would have to sacrifice that when we lose the ball, we could potentially be under the cosh a little bit. And I do feel that without Theo Walcott, without Danny Welbeck playing in this game, Danny Welbeck especially, I do feel that when Liverpool attacked, they pressed really well and they did look dangerous. They've got some excellent attacking talent on offer. Sterling was constantly at the heart of every attacking move they made. Markovic as well, very dangerous, and Philippe Coutinho causing havoc in the midfield. But I do feel for large spells of the game, especially in that second half, we took those players out of the game. We dealt with them really well. Our defence looked very shaky. We were playing a high line. Mertesacker, I think, was guilty of times of going up the pitch a little bit more, which is something that we've come to see from him this season. He's really got to discipline himself at times, but I think he did make up for that with some sublime tackles in that first half, especially when Sterling was on the break, and I think he coped with the threat of Sterling relatively well in this game. And overall, it was a shaky but relatively good defensive display. Certainly room for improvement in that area of the pitch. David Ospina, I thought, had a very fine game in front of goal, bar the penalty, which came later in the game, which I think he could have saved, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. But going forward, we were absolute class today, absolute class. It's one of the best attacking games that I've seen from Arsenal this season. We know we're capable of scoring goals, and I said that the 3 players, whoever played behind the striker, would be so intricate. The delicate moves between Cazorla, Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, Giroud and Ramsey, all of these players being involved in everything that we did, were absolutely magnificent going forward. Coquelin in the defensive midfield role, again a performance that was absolute class, sublime, but one that we're accustomed to seeing of him now. A regular routine performance, and it's just great to see that this guy's been such a revelation. He was key and pivotal in the side today, and it was an absolutely magnificent performance from him. But getting into the game itself, the first half, like I've already said, it was a bit of a seesaw one. We started off the game very well. The first 5-10 minutes we were really dominating position, causing Liverpool problems, and we had a very clear-cut chance through Aaron Ramsey when Liverpool were losing possession, mainly through the source of that was Kolo Touré, and we weren't really capitalising on the domination that we had of the game, and that was very frustrating to see, because as we saw later in that half, Liverpool were continuing to pile on chances, and this game could quite easily have had a different scoreline to it. But we did miss that chance for Aaron Ramsey, which was a real body blow, and then after that point, Liverpool started to get into the game a little bit more. We were sacrificing possession, and on the break, Liverpool looked very dangerous. Sterling, Markovic, Coutinho, these were the 3 players that were really starting to cause us problems, and Emre Can as well, driving out from the Liverpool defence, battling for our midfield, and really causing havoc throughout the whole course of the game. But I think the real chance that Liverpool can say they had was certainly the Markovic one, playing it into Raheem Sterling. The pass was absolutely dreadful from Markovic, but any other day that could have gone in the back of the net and things could have turned out differently for us. Unfortunately for Liverpool, they didn't capitalise, but it was very fortunate for us that we didn't concede. It was a let-off, and we did kind of get our heads down from there on in, and we started playing a lot better football, dominating things in the middle of the park. Our first goal came through the most unlikely source in Hector Bellerin. First of all, it was good work by Ramsey playing the ball into Hector Bellerin. And just quickly brushing on Ramsey, he's got 2 assists today, and he wasn't even one of his best performances, which is, it's good for his confidence. He came off later in the game with a minor injury to his ankle. The same goes for Laurent Koscielny, just as well talking about those injuries. It is frustrating considering that we've got so many players coming back into the first team, but now that those 2 players are going to be out for potentially what could be a couple of weeks, hopefully not months, it is a source of frustration because Ramsey, like I said, he didn't have his best performance today, but he just showed how influential he was by getting 2 assists on the board. So credit where it's due, even though he didn't have one of his best games, but he played it into Bellerin. Great work by Bellerin, but you have to say it was god awful from Moreno not to try and close him down. He does like the body shift past Moreno, and then an excellent finish with his left foot, playing it past the keeper. Mignolet maybe could have done better, but let's not take any credit away from the finish. Bellerin, I thought, played a lot better after that goal. He is caught out of position quite a few times. As good as his performance was today, there are still areas of his game that he does have to work on. Positioning, it's the obvious one for me. There was a moment in the game where if Coutinho had played a better pass into Moreno, then they could have gone 1-0 up and we could have been punished. But Bellerin, certainly, that's the area of his game that he has to work on. But can't take any credit away from the stuff that he did going forward today. Made some excellent passes. He was very influential in some of the later goals that we scored as well. Very good going forward. It's just the defensive side of his game that I feel he needs to work on. And with players like Debuchy playing in front of him, who's coming back into the frame of things now, he's got an excellent mentor in that defensive department. So I'm not too concerned about his development. He is a sublime right back, and to think he's getting this much first team football, scoring goals like that, scored more goals than Balotelli this season, so hats off to him. It was a sublime finish. And then we did the typical Arsenal thing of scoring quick goals in succession after the first goal, and we got the second goal through Mesut Ozil of all people, and his performance after this free kick, which was absolute world class. He was sublime throughout the course of the game. After that, he was dictating everything. He was taking it past players, and I think he showed that he's a player that so heavily relies on confidence. He was absolute class throughout the course of the game after his free kick. He was giving the ball away a bit, and he wasn't having the most convincing of performances, certainly before the goal that he scored, but it was an absolutely class free kick. And credit to Mertesacker as well, kind of putting the keeper off with the run. So it was a great goal, 2-0, and then to put the icing on the cake really for that first half, Alexis Sanchez, pure brilliance, but Mignolet also at fault again, but can't take anything away from the finish. Powerful, above Mignolet, class finish, the kind of finishes that he was doing earlier on in the season, and hopefully he'll regain some consistency now. Really happy for Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil, our 2 most expensive signings, coming together and really showboating today. They were absolute class. And going into that second half, I was frustrated with the second half. I will say this, because we should have gone for more. We could have beaten Liverpool, 4 or 5, well, 5 or 6-0 today, considering we did get the 4th later on in the game. But we should have gone for more goals. I think the real moment where we sacrificed possession, where we went a little bit more defensive, was when Flamini came on for Aaron Ramsey. For me, this wasn't the right move. We could have got more goals. I would have taken Ramsey off in that second half, irrespective of his injury, and I would have gone for more goals, brought on Danny Welbeck, and then played Ozil and Cazorla through the middle, Alexis Sanchez and Welbeck on the flanks. I was frustrated as well not to see Theo Walcott come on from the bench, because this was a great opportunity for him. Liverpool were vulnerable at the back. When Chan got sent off, I mean, even for, if he'd have got 15-20 minutes under his belt today, it would have done him the world of good. He would have had opportunities to score, and I am a bit annoyed that he hasn't come off from the bench today, and it does really bring into question his Arsenal career at the moment, which I don't want to talk about. I'd love to see him get more game time, but it's just not happening at the moment. He's being blocked out of the team by the likes of Danny Welbeck. Chamberlain didn't even feature today. All these players coming back, and we still put in such a stellar performance, and Walcott is just falling further and further down in the pecking order. But regarding that second half, which I just wanted to talk about, we were the ones that were certainly giving Liverpool a lot of possession, sitting back, saying, come on, see what you can do to us. And they pressed, but they weren't really doing anything spectacular. Sterling, like I've already mentioned, was the source of all key problems, and the only real chances that they had were the ones that they created from the penalty. It was good work by Sterling, taking it past Bellerin, I think it was. Bellerin bringing him down. He was lucky, very lucky, not to get away with a red card, which Liverpool fans will certainly argue that the referee should have given. I think the referee was awful today. I think there were a lot of decisions that he made very, very wrong, and Bellerin, like I mentioned, was very lucky to get away with not getting a red card. But the penalty was unconvincing from Henderson, to say the least. Ospina should have saved it. I think it was a very poor penalty. Liverpool got a lifeline, but with 15-20 minutes left, it was never going to be enough, and it was just a case of us pressing them on the counter. And with Welbeck on, he did some excellent things when he came on. He was an excellent impact player for us. We looked very good with Cazorla going forward. Of course, Ozil came off, and we just looked overall very dominant in the game. towards the latter stage with Liverpool tiring. Of course, Chan got sent off. It looked like a very reckless challenge, but I have to say it was a red card considering that it looked like he lashed out. It did look very violent. I think he certainly warranted the red card, but that's not to say that Bellerin shouldn't have been sent off because it could. You know, I've seen him given to say that typical phrase that so many pundits seem to use. It was a very tightly contested match today. Things could have gone for us and against us. At times we saw that they did. The penalty, of course, Liverpool, of course, getting Chan sent off. It was a very open game. It had everything, this game, and of course, to put the icing on the cake, really, Olivier Giroud adding to his tally, scoring a phenomenal goal yet again. A class finish, and I think his finishing is really an underrated part of his game. When you think of Giroud, you tend to class him with headers going in, which he does to an excellent standard as well. But his finishing was superb today, and that goal really put the crown on it because he was sublime yet again, and his hold-up play, everything he did, it ticked really well for him, and I couldn't be happier for him because he's proven to be a consistent striker, and it's not like he's scoring every other game, he's scoring every game for us now. We've got Burnley next, another opportunity for him to get more goals on the scoreboard, but overall a 4-1 win against Liverpool leaves us 9 points clear of them. We're not entering the title race just yet. I don't think we've got to focus on that. We've just got to focus on beating who's ever in front of us. Like I mentioned, Burnley away, a difficult fixture against Sean Dyche's men, but we can only beat what's put in front of us. And who knows where we'll end up at the end of the season, but this is a very, very crucial victory for us, especially in cementing our place in the top 4. But those will be my thoughts on a very good win for us today. If you've enjoyed the video, do make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV, and do make sure to check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game, and I'll speak to you very soon, guys.
Hi, welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and this is a brand new show. This is the Match Predictor show in conjunction with Sport Lobster. And what we're going to do every week, we're going to take a look at the games and predict the scores. Now, I'm going to look at all of the games this week in the Premier League.